A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn. Every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me. Piles so tall, they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. So I thought I was going to end up doing the last reviews I had to do, which would be going to 2025. But I realized I have at least 5 books to do reviews on, and I don't have enough time to do all 5 of those books. So 2025, the beginning of year reviews, will have to wait because I already have, and by saying those aren't all books I started in 2025, some of them pulled over from last year because of the nature of the book. But what I decided to do is that instead I will do a book haul, because this is what trickled over from like some of the Christmas books that hadn't come in, and then a couple of other things that I had picked up. So let's see. This one I actually haven't gotten out of the plastic yet. And this isn't in any particular order, just how I put it in the box I have next to me. And normally I separate my book haul videos into sections, but there's so few books in this particular book haul that I'm just going to do them all together. And this particular book, well, I was going to open up the plastic, but you're going to have to deal with the shine on there. So this is Character and Conflict in Jane Austen's novels. And this author, Bernard J. Paris, offers an analysis of the protagonists in 4 of Jane Austen's most popular novels. His analysis reveals them to be brilliant, mimetic creations that often break free of the formal and thematic limitations placed upon them by Austen. And he traces the powerful tensions between form, theme, and mimesis. Mimesis? I had to look up what that means. In Mansfield Park, Emma, Pride and Prejudice, and Persuasion. So I just thought the idea, whether or not I'll agree with everything this author writes, we'll see. If not, I will write in the margins, and you will hear everything about what I disagree about. But I just like the idea of a psychological approach. I feel like you can approach some of these classics from so many different directions and still get so much out of them. But that is that one. Then another one. Now, when I did research, because when I was on Thrift Books, I think I had a free book come up. And it had this Louisa May Alcott biography come up. And I was like, well, let me make sure I'm getting the best Louisa May Alcott biography. And they actually didn't recommend this one. They recommended 2 other ones. They said one of them is a good starting point, and then you head into the second one. So I need to go back and look at the review and see which one was which. But this was, I believe, the one I got for free. This is Louisa May Alcott, a biography. And this is the Madeline B. Stern one, the classic biography. I think this was the first one written. First published in 1950. And it's still considered the classic biography. And then the other one, this is Louisa May Alcott, The Woman Behind Little Women. The Woman Behind Little Women, Harriet Reason. And it deals particularly with, I guess, the biography in relation to Little Women. So this deals more with, it sounds like, maybe the whole life of Louisa May Alcott, and this relates it specifically to her writing. So, like the Wall Street Journal says, as Harriet Reason's enchanting biography reminds us, Alcott patterned the March girl's family on her own and Jo on herself. Her life is richly examined in Miss Reason's full and vivid portrait. So this one's the shorter of the 2 books, I believe. Yeah, when you, let's see, this one looks like it is 362 page. Now, granted, it's also a taller book. And this one is 422. So, I mean, it is a taller book, so maybe they end up coming out about equal. But they do say that this is the first one written, so maybe this should be the first one that I read of the two. But both of these are supposed to be excellent. And I do like getting different points of view of the same topic. Then this one got a little bent. Reading Jane Austen by Jenny Davidson. Whether you're new to Austen's work or know it backwards and forwards already, this book, sorry, it's a little hard to read in this lighting. This book provides a clear, full, and highly engaging account of how Austen's fiction works and why it matters. Exploring new pathways into the study of Jane Austen's writing, novelist and academic Jenny Davidson looks at Austen's work through a writer's lens, addressing formal questions about narration, novel writing, and fictional composition, as well as themes including social women's history, morals, and manners. So I enjoy a good literary commentary, regardless of the point of view that's coming from, because then I get to make up my own mind whether or not I agree with it, but it makes me look at the work from a new perspective, whether or not I choose to adopt that perspective. This one is related to another book that I'll be talking about later, but I could have sworn I had this book, but I didn't have it on Kindle and I didn't have it on physical. I must have been like wishing in its general direction years in the past, because I could have sworn I had this book. Can't imagine I would have gotten rid of it. Because I still remember it was a little yellow paperback too. I have no idea what happened to it. But this is Red Land, Black Land. It's Daily Life in Ancient Egypt by Barbara Mertz. And she also is the writer behind, she writes under the pseudonym Elizabeth Peters for the other books that she writes. But those books are the Amelia Peabody books. And she wrote a bunch of murder mysteries sent in Egypt on digs. And Amelia Peabody is her main character. I read the first one, The Mysteries, really enjoyed it. And it reminded me like, oh yeah, I actually thought I owned this book and I didn't. And I've been intending to read it forever. So it's long past due that I will read it. It won't be something that I read this quarter for Historathon. It'll be a year in the future. But it looked like this came from a library. I actually already have a library pocket in it, even though there's no library card in here. So that'll be holding my next library card I make up. And it came from St. Louis Community College. So it was withdrawn. And honestly, when the only thing bad about it is this plastic is kind of funky. That's not bad at all. And I think this was the only protective plastic that was put on to keep people from destroying the book. But yeah, this book I do look forward to. Wanted to uncover my library code so I don't have to go and look this up later. I can already take the one that the actual library made for it. Little bit less work for me. So yeah, I have my library code there. But not much to say about this. This has been a book that I've known about for a very long time. I just didn't realize I didn't have it. Then, this one was a Christmas gift. And I mentioned this in a past video. I'd forgotten to pull it out for book haul because I was reading it at the time. And I'm making my way slowly through this. I'm not intending to make my way through it fast. I thought at first, oh, maybe I'll finish in a year. I'm not going to finish in a year. This is one that I don't intend to read at any specific pace. This is the classic, The Golden Legend by Jacobus de Foregen. He is considered blessed in the Catholic Church, and he wrote during medieval ages. Compiled around 1260 by Jacobus, a scholarly friar and later Archbishop of Genoa, whose purpose was to captivate, encourage, and edify the faithful, while preserving a vast store of information pertaining to the legends and traditions of the Church. Now, a lot of these traditions are seen got to be seen first starting with the Reformation, the Protestant Reformation, then even with the Catholic, later Counter-Reformation, where they're like, yeah, some of these stories, they're kind of, weird. These probably weren't all true. So some of these legends did not pass into current day as being like that. These are actual, like what we believe. But these are still classic stories that were used through so many sermons, so many people, so many homilists pulled from Jacobus's work to edify the faithful and to punctuate their own sermons. So this work had a huge effect on the medieval landscape just because it was something that everyone knew about. Everyone knew these stories that Jacobus had pulled together. Yeah, so it says, depicting the lives of the saints in an array of factual and fictional stories. The Golden Legend was perhaps the most widely read book after the Bible during the late Middle Ages, which alone makes it incredibly interesting to read. Even if you look at it, like, that one probably wasn't true. But what also drew me toward this was the fact that the introduction was by Eamon Duffy. And I really enjoyed the one Eamon Duffy book that I have read. I intend to also read for the Big Book Summer, Eamon Duffy's Stripping of the Altars. So I might not be waiting till, let me think. I might not wait till Big Book Summer because I might want to start it at the beginning of quarter 2. Regardless, not quarter 2. Let me think about that. Is it quarter 3? No, it's quarter 2. I have to go back and look. No, it should be quarter 2. No, I can't remember. I have to go back and look. Well, actually, it covers both medieval and Tudor, so I could start at quarter 2. Regardless, Stripping of the Altars, Eamon Duffy, I am reading it this year. But that was what partially drew me to the book at first, was I saw the title. I saw that it was put out by Princeton. Actually, my mom had mentioned it to me as something she was interested in. And when I saw that the introduction was Eamon Duffy, I'm like, actually, that tells me here that this is actually a pretty good scholarly work. You've got someone scholar I do respect, who is doing the introduction to this. And I have already read the introduction and a couple of the stories within. Now, I did warn my mom that, this might not be, going into it to realize this is not a devotional the way we see devotionals now. This really was stories. This was a collection of stories that were told and believed strongly at that period of time. Even a lot of which, quite a few of which are considered fictional now, even by the Catholic Church. But I am a little disappointed that the art was mentioned about the book and there is no art within it. That was a bit of a disappointment. But other than that, what else is there to say about this? Oh, one of the things I found was interesting, that even though there were canonized saints of his day, he did not use even the saints who have been canonized by the church just a little bit before that. He wanted to focus on some of the more exciting stories where you dealt with some of the earlier martyrs, the more gruesome and just extreme some of the examples were, the better that he liked it. So this did not include even the number of saints that he was aware of during his lifetime. Those just were not the stories that he was interested in telling, which I thought was interesting. Then, before the last book, I almost forgot this one. I started reading this book on Kindle last year. I was finding that sometimes with longer books on Kindle, I just kind of feel like I lose focus and I just kind of lose steam because it seems to go on forever. So I was like, well, I know this is going to be a book I'll reread. Let me pick up the physical form. And this is Life of Christ by Fulton Sheen. And this is a book that I have been thoroughly enjoying. I have read a little bit of it since I picked it up. I do feel like I made more progress than I would have for a while if I had continued to just be reading off of Kindle. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about that other than this is a good book. And Fulton Sheen, I mean, he's classic. And people might remember his old TV show where he would write on the chalkboard to illustrate what he was talking about. It was considered very popular at the time period. Now, this one just arrived today, and I've been waiting for this for so long. This was a second part of a Christmas gift, and I got it half off, which I would not have been able to get if it wasn't half off, just because I wouldn't have had enough Christmas money left over. But this is Postcards on Parchment. Honestly, I can't even tell if this was in like new condition. And the idea behind this is, first of all, pretty. The idea behind this is medieval prayer books held not only the devotions and meditations of Christianity, but also have, slipped between pages, sundry notes, reminders, and ephemera, such as pilgrims' badges, sworn oaths, and small painted images. Many of these last items my mouth is getting dry. Many of these last items have been classified as manuscript illumination, but author Catherine Rudy argues that these pictures should be called, instead, parchment paintings, similar to postcards. And she goes through everything that all these postcards that are on parchment throughout this. So this looks to be a very interesting read. I have shifted around some of my reading plans for this year to include this in my quarter 2 reads. I love a good medieval art history book, and I always like the idea of what people added to their books afterwards, how they put their personal stamp on them. It feels like touching the past. But I'm so happy this came in. I know this came from England because I checked the supplier, and they said it wasn't supposed to arrive till February 10th. I'm so delighted it arrived earlier. I kept checking to see when it would come. And I'm glad that they, overshot when they said it would come. So that way I was delighted when it came early instead of being disappointed when it hadn't shown up. But yeah, that is it for my book haul. Next time I record, I hope to record some 2025 book reviews. There will also most likely be a birthday book haul for me. But until that point, thank you very much for joining me for this video. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you for the next video. God bless. Bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.